Welcome to The Explainer. So right now, there is this massive high-stakes battle happening between Washington and Silicon Valley. And honestly, the outcome is going to affect almost every aspect of our future. Today, we're unpacking the intense behind-the-scenes fight over whether and exactly how to regulate artificial intelligence. The core tension here is actually deeply historical. We're looking at how the United States traditionally regulates massive, world-changing industries and how that totally collides with the fiercely independent, hands-off approach of the modern tech sector. Okay, let's dive into this. Here's our roadmap. First up, the history of crises and regulation. Then we'll look at why tech leaders fiercely oppose AI rules. After that, the anthropic wake-up call, followed by the surprising populist demands for aggressive oversight. And finally, we'll unpack the executive order compromise. Section 1. History of crisis and regulation, waiting for disaster. To really grasp the whole AI debate, we've got to set the stage with how the American government typically handles industry oversight. You see, historically, the United States operates on a crisis-first model. It usually takes a literal disaster to force meaningful regulation. Back in the 1950s, it took a series of tragic plane crashes before the government stepped in and created the FAA. In finance, it took the catastrophic 2008 market crash to actually get robust regulations around banks. But the tech sector? Man, it plays by a completely different set of rules. Just think about social media over the last 15 years. We've got immense polarization, youth mental health crises, yet the industry has basically run out the regulatory clock. Zero federal rules. So the big question looming over Washington right now is, will AI follow that historical model or the tech model? Section 2, Tech Leaders Oppose AI Rules. The beautiful baby. Let's see how this exact history shaped the administration's initial, totally hands-off stance on AI. So when President Trump came into office, one of his very first moves was to sign an executive order that repealed all the Biden-era rules designed to bring safety processes to AI. The philosophy, entirely hands-off. The president actually used a super vivid metaphor for this. He called the AI industry a beautiful baby. And the idea was, you don't want to get in the way of a beautiful baby taking its first steps by imposing foolish or stupid political rules. You just let it run. It's kind of fascinating to hear such a visceral metaphor applied to government regulatory frameworks. This hands-off philosophy was heavily pushed by White House advisor and venture capitalist David Sachs. He really won the administration over with some incredibly persuasive arguments against safety requirements. First, the geopolitical reality. Sachs argued that if the US doesn't lead in AI, we're going to fall behind global competitors, specifically China. And this isn't just about corporate profits, folks. Losing the AI race means losing our national security edge. Secondly, there's the economic argument. Our modern economy is driven by tech precisely because of that historical hands-off approach. Sachs argued that any government rules would basically just throw sand in the gears of technological advancement. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is we're moving into Section 3, the anthropic wake-up call, a near miss. So this completely hands-off approach seemed absolutely locked in. Until April. Let's trace exactly what happened here. Anthropic, which is a major AI developer, created a new model called Mythos. But Mythos wasn't just another friendly chatbot. It proved to be highly skilled at identifying critical vulnerabilities in software. And the downside risks? They were terrifying. We're talking about a system that bad actors could weaponize to hack the electric grid, drain bank accounts, or literally turn off all the lights in a city like New York overnight. The risk was so severe that Anthropic actually hit the brakes. They halted the public release entirely, opting to quietly share it with just 40 companies so they could patch their systems first. Well, that decision set off massive alarm bells. Microsoft, the company that essentially builds the software backbone for the US government, called the White House, telling them they needed to take this seriously. JP Morgan Chase CEO Jamie Dimon called, warning about severe vulnerabilities to the banking sector. All of a sudden, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent and Chief of Staff Susie Wiles realized they had a colossal problem on their hands. If a cyber attack or grid failure actually happened and the administration had stuck to a strictly hands-off approach, they would look totally complicit. They knew they had to act. Section 4. Populists demand aggressive oversight, left and right. Because suddenly, the pressure wasn't just coming from panicked corporate executives. Over on the political right, populist figures started sounding the alarm really loudly. Steve Bannon argued that AI and a free society are absolutely and totally incompatible, full stop. And it's fascinating, right? He was channeling this deep uneasiness among working-class Americans who feel like this massive transformative tech is just barreling toward them and nobody is steering the train. Bannon warned that tech oligarchs were going to sell out the American public to enrich themselves, with zero transparency. He even called for something akin to a Geneva Treaty for AI. And this wasn't just an economic argument on the right. It actually became a moral one. Get this. A group of more than 36 pastors signed a letter urging the administration to regulate AI. Why? Because they were seeing the social fabric tear in real time. One Texas pastor joined the movement after learning a parishioner's marriage was completely destroyed because the husband was having a relationship with an AI companion. They started viewing unregulated AI as a fast track to moral rot, and they wanted the government to take the wheel. And this brilliantly illustrates just how wide the spectrum of demands had become. Because while the right was raising these moral and working-class concerns, the political left was proposing massive structural changes. And that brings us to this 50% figure. Left-wing populists, led by Senator Bernie Sanders, pushed for incredibly aggressive oversight. Sanders called for a complete moratorium on building new AI data centers until we evaluate their impacts on jobs, mental health, and the political process. But his second proposal was even wilder. The American AI Sovereign Wealth Fund, essentially a giant government investment pool. Sanders argued that when major AI companies go public, the U.S. government should just take a 50% ownership stake, so the public directly shares in the wealth. As you can probably guess, Silicon Valley was in absolute shock over this, widely blasting the idea as completely unacceptable socialism. Section 5. The Executive Order Compromise, a baby step. So the administration found itself walking this incredibly precarious tightrope. On one hand, massive populist demands for strict rules. On the other, Silicon Valley fiercely resisting any regulation at all. This tension culminated in an executive order that went through some pretty dramatic revisions. Initially, the draft order allowed up to a 90-day window for the government to review AI models for vulnerabilities. The head of the National Economic Council even went on TV and compared it to an FDA vetting process. Well, that completely freaked out Silicon Valley. Tech execs, especially David Sachs, heavily lobbied the president, urging him not to sign it. And you know what? It worked. The final order was drastically watered down. The 90-day review became a 30-day voluntary review. And crucially, it explicitly stated there would be no mandatory government licensing or pre-clearance. It was just a very small, voluntary baby step. So why did the tech industry win this round so decisively? It's because AI currently wields a massive economic bully stick. Right now, estimates show that anywhere from a third to more than half of all current U.S. GDP growth is driven directly by AI and its infrastructure buildout. That's huge. The administration knows that slamming the brakes on AI could literally mean slamming the brakes on the entire American economy. And that matters to you directly. That GDP growth impacts everything from the strength of your 401k to the job market in your own town. Which brings us to the ultimate question. The tech industry has successfully pushed for a voluntary, hands-off approach, much like they did with social media. But with AI models growing exponentially more powerful by the day, and that near miss with the Mythos model proving what bad actors could do to our infrastructure, we're left wondering, can the AI industry just run out the clock forever? Or just like aviation and banking before it, is it going to take a catastrophic failure, like the lights literally going out in a major city, to force meaningful regulation? It is a high-stakes gamble, and we'll all be watching to see how it plays out. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer. I'll catch you next time.